Everybody, welcome back to Miles Mentors. We have a great episode lined up for you today. We got George McWilliams, the Director of Partnerships over at TAFS Factoring. We're going to tap into his lived and learned knowledge through his years in the industry and pass that information along to you. So stick with us. We have a good one right after this on Miles and Mentors.
Welcome to Miles and Mentors, the podcast that humanizes trucking, getting real-life advice and insights from logistics professionals from all over the industry. We sit down with those seasoned mentors who have put in the miles with a mission to pass on the knowledge gained from years in the industry to you. Now buckle up and enjoy the show.
Hey, what's going on, George? Thanks for joining in, man.
Man, I tell you, that intros are supposed to get people excited. I absolutely love that thing, man.
Fantastic.
I'm pumped. Let's go.
Glad to hear it. Well, thanks for joining in, man. I'm stoked to dive in with you and learn more about your time through the industry and kind of what you learned along the way.
Yep. So as you can get, George McWilliams, Director of Partnerships over here at TAFS. Been in transportation and logistics, you could say, as far as professionally, about 10 years or so, give or take. I would say my entire life. And as on a personal level, my parents were truck drivers. My mom and stepdad were team drivers.
Oh, wow.
Also, cousins be truck drivers down in Houston. Uncle was a truck driver down in Houston, and so I've been up and around this for my entire life. So yeah,
That's fantastic, man. So, I always dive in and ask, what got you into the industry in the first place? And sounds like you got some history there, but why'd you choose to kind of go into that same route, same industry?
So I worked in financial services, stock market type stuff on the operations side for years and years,
Right.
right out of high school. And I had a friend of mine that was working at TAFS at the time, and he got promoted to sales manager. And it just so happened that he was like, "Hey, is there something you would be interested in going into sales?" And I was very apprehensive about it. And he's like, "It's transportation." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I know a little bit about that." And it really wasn't until about maybe the first few weeks that I got into this, and it just that bug hit, and I was like, "This is fantastic. Transportation's ultimately where I needed to be." And it's kind of funny talking with my mother whenever I first got into factoring, and telling her about what this business is. And
Yeah.
it was really, it blew me away, the fact that she had no idea what it was. Now, it would have been the 80s, early 90s, up to mid 90s, that she was like, I could have really used that. She's like, we needed so much help financially. We need so much support
Yeah.
that anytime any setback happened, and I remember being a little kid and seeing some of these setbacks happen financially, that it was really something for her that was like, wow, this would have been something that would have probably saved their business.
Right.
And it would have absolutely have helped us have a better childhood. Because we dealt with those pitfalls, and we talked to a lot of folks on the factoring side that are like, I need this for my business support. I need that for my business support. And that's really where, regardless of what companies you're with, but if you're involved in transportation on our side of the table, not behind the wheel, it really is. We are playing a supporting cast role, and it's very imperative that we recognize that we don't hold the cards; they do. The drivers hold the cards, and that's really where our focus needs to be and our attention needs to be. Is how do we support them better, and how do we make their companies grow? Because trust me, I've been on the side where if it doesn't work, if you have a setback, your business is done. And that's definitely something that we try to pride ourselves on, being a part of partnerships. That how do we have enough friends in the industry in place that if we have carriers come to us and they do need genuine help, that we have help for them. We have trusted partners that we can try to get in front of those folks. And so that's why this is important to me. And honestly, what you're doing, Alex, is very important to just get the word out, to just keep transportation at the forefront of people's minds. Obviously, with the climate we have right now and in the world, especially in the United States, we need to make sure we're focusing on we're driver friendly.
Definitely. Man, I love that. You grew up around this trucking industry, right? So even maybe not being like book smart, it's almost like you're street smart to it, right? Like you may not know exactly what they were doing in the business, but you grew up around it. You got to see kind of the flow and how things are going and get used to it, which I feel like gives you that, different ingrained perspective. So when you're talking to people in the industry, you're not just another voice on the phone. Like, you can truly relate. You grew up around this. You know what your parents went through. You got to see things, firsthand growing up as a child. How was that kind of related into your career, being able to, talk to people on the phone and relate in that manner?
I think it's being able to adjust who I am to the people that I'm talking to.
Yeah.
I may have a particular background in certain things, and I may be where I'm at in my life now versus somebody else, whatever that case may be. But just understanding that the person on the other end of that, because a large part of our business is over the phone, especially
Sure.
signing up new carriers, things along those lines. But um, being able to be relatable, but not fake.
Yeah. Right.
You can fake it, and everybody knows how to fake a phone call. The other person on the other side, they know you're faking.
Yeah.
So how are you able to be genuine, respectful, and then also understand that you have a job to do and they have a job to do? I think that's what's really helped me in my career is, just like you said, having had that background and seeing the trials and tribulations that a carrier and a carrier's family goes through.
Yeah.
That driver's going through, but also what the family on that other side is going through. And I think it's really helped me out to relate to what their struggles are and to be able to talk with them with an educated level of how we can help.
Definitely. Definitely. Well, man, you kind of brought up, TAFs with the financial side, especially growing up around that. You said, your mom didn't really know what it was early on, and that's definitely something she could have used. With your experience and that insight, man, what's some of the biggest, cash flow challenges that you see for like new owner operators, and especially those guys trying to grow into a fleet owner, that they're facing in the industry today?
I think it's just a matter of with all the restrictions on new authorities and specifically on
Yeah.
who they can haul. I think expectation is a big thing when you're jumping into this business. Having the right expectation that you're not going to be able to haul for everyone. There's requirements on aged authorities. Just making sure that you stay grounded and you don't overextend yourself, right? Because that's a huge part as well. We've seen carriers that they'll start off with one truck, they'll have a couple of good months. The next thing you know, there's 3 trucks involved, and you've now overextended yourself. So just making sure that, especially within that first year, that take it slow, do what you need to do, but make sure that you've got people in place that are there to help you and to help your business grow, whether that be a broker, whether that be a dispatcher, whether that be your insurance agency,
Yeah.
whether that be your factoring company, all the way down the line. Just make sure you have all of those things in place when you step into that truck and you start driving under your own authority for the first time. You want to make sure that you have all of those things in place so that when you have your first invoice, you're able to get paid on it. When you have your brand new debtor, how do you know they're reliable? How do you know that they're going to, with credit check systems, those are the things, just making sure you've got enough stuff in place. You can't have too many partners in this business. I guess that's the biggest point, especially when you're starting out.
I definitely want to dive into the partner side, but you bring up a great point there. I mean, this is one of those industries we talk about a lot. Like, there's money to be made. And when you go from that company driver over to that owner operator, I mean, that's when you get a branch into your business, but you also take on that liability, right? And if you don't set up those firm foundations, then there's also a lot of expenses in this industry as well, that can be crippling really fast if you don't have, that stuff lined up and ready to go.
Yeah, it's expenses and exposures.
Yeah.
Right. Because you're now exposed. You're liable.
Yep.
As a business owner, and I don't want to. I'm hearing myself, and I don't want this to come across as a doom and gloom, scary thing.
Sure.
It's exciting. It's very exciting, and that's where I say temper the expectation and emotion a little bit, because it is super exciting. And I know whenever I get excited, you know me well enough to know, Alex. When I get excited, I go all out, right? I start moving. I'm ready to go. but
For
it's
sure.
being able to rein that back in as a business owner
Yeah.
that is really going to be the critical part in those first, especially those first 6 months, is be excited, love it, enjoy it. The fact that you're on your own, you've got your own authority, you've got, you're moving your own freight type of a deal. But with the expectation that there are limitations to what you're going to be able to do those first 6 months to a year.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, when you become that business owner, it's on you. So like there's the sky's the limit when you're a business owner, but at the same time, you want to mitigate the risk. You want to, be careful with that liability and grow the right way because you can get kicked out just as fast. So
No,
make
that's,
sure you
that's a
grow right.
grow the right way. That's
Yeah.
a great way to say that.
Well, you brought up partnerships, and there's a couple different ways that we can, and I want to go with both of that. But being as we're a Miles of Mentors, let's kind of start off that way. Getting in, going from that company driver aspect to running your own company. There's a lot. You learn a lot as a company driver. There's a ton in this industry to know, but going to that next level, owning the company, there's a whole bunch more to know. You got to deal with the regulations, and you got to deal with the cash flow and all that stuff. It's on you now. As far as partnerships and mentorship, how important is that to really have people in your corner, go out there, network, et cetera, and have people to talk to about this to kind of compare and contrast, make sure you're on the right route?
Yeah, I think it starts way before you take that leap.
Yeah.
Understanding if you're going to take that leap. So if you've been a owner operator leased on under someone's authority or a company driver, before you decide, hey, I'm going to go on my own on this, talk to people that have done it. Talk to people that have succeeded, but
Yeah.
talk to people that have failed, right? Because I can job interview all day, and I can job interview, and the recruiter's going to tell me how great everything is and how much money can be made and all the fun, benefits and this and that. But not every job is fantastic.
Yeah.
Not every job you're going to come out the gate and make what the top producer's making. People are going to fail. How
Yeah.
long did you fail? How long did you give it? What did you do to what caused you to fail? And really having that open dialogue between the people that have failed, the people that are doing good, and the people that are highly successful, to get that broad range to figure out, okay, this is my path, because we're all different people. What's going to make me succeed may be different than what's going to help you succeed or somebody else down the line. So understanding everyone else's perspective and then building your own case, your own value. How am I going to help myself succeed? And then execute that. Create a game plan and execute that game plan. Don't strive from that game plan. If it's a good game plan, stay the course, temper your expectations, be excited. It all revolves around that same thing. It's just making sure that you've got things in place that will help you personally succeed. So I think really that is just making sure you've crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's
Yeah.
before you get out there.
That's a great point, man. It's hard to learn on the fly with the important stuff. I mean, have that foundation in place there. One thing you said about talking to someone who's failed, I think that's beautiful, and I think that's so important. And it makes me think, I mean, at the end of the day, business is business. So you step outside of the trucking world, you hear all these millionaires out there. How did you make it to success? And they're going to tell you, I failed so many times that I got it right. That's where you learn, is when you fail. And it reminds me, it's been a while now. We had Chris on here from Blue Ribbon Logistics. They're a successful outfit at this point. But most people come on and telling you how they built up this empire, and he goes, "Yeah, I put everything into it. I fell on my face so hard."
Yeah.
And it's from that it's that encouragement that you don't have to rebuild the wheel necessarily, because other people have been through this before, and we can learn from those paths. Like, okay, this didn't work over here. Why? And how can I readjust my strategy to set myself in a stronger position?
Yeah. And you got to surround yourself by people that support you,
Yeah.
right? Not people that are going to be yes man, but people that actually truly support you. And part of support is being honest and sometimes brutally honest.
Yeah.
Support, sometimes people think, well, if you're supporting me, that means that you're going to agree with everything that I say. You're going to be behind me no matter what.
Right. But that, you know, I mean, that is a beautiful fact that you definitely need to consider with, owning a company, because at the end of the day, you kind of got to disassociate yourself to a degree and say, okay, it's the company, and run it in that manner. And to have somebody from that outside perspective to look at it, like we've said before, it's like you write an email and you read it 20 times. You're like, yeah, that's perfect. Someone else reads it. It's like, what are you saying? And you look at it like, oh yeah, that's gibberish. Let's redo that. To have that outside perspective to come in and be like, let's relook at this, or this is fantastic, but we could, make it better in this way. I think that's huge credibility to help a business really get off on the firm footing.
Yeah. And I think with that is your partnerships.
Yeah.
It really is. It's your family, it's your business partners that really truly help you get over the hump, help you stay successful, maintain clarity. It's maintain your sanity.
Yeah.
because you've got to have the right people in place to help you move forward every day, right? It's not
Sure.
when I'm in a hole or when I'm in a bad spot. It's a every day I'm going to need these resources to keep me moving, regardless of what industry you're in. I know we're talking about trucking and we're talking about drivers, but regardless of what industry you're in, every day you've got to wake up with the mindset that I need to get some stuff done. I've got goals for my day. How do I accomplish those goals? Well, most of the time, especially for a truck driver, especially for an owner operator, you're the person behind the wheel who's going to help you while you're driving, get the things done in the background, get the things done to make your business successful. And that's truly where you will see these companies that do succeed, and the companies that do grow into fleets and that do become big voices in the industry. It's because they've failed, they've picked themselves back up, and they've learned from their mistakes, and they've found partners that help them on a daily basis succeed.
I'm kind of wondering if you hacked my computer at this point, because I swear to God, my next question on the screen was literally, how do we go beyond one truck? What is the mindset and habits that truckers should
There you
have?
go.
You're nailing right in there, man. That's fantastic. I love it. Now, you're talking about, those partnerships and stuff. I think that's huge. And I think it's one factor that is being newly introduced. I mean, not newly, but, to a degree with like the carrier side of things. We got the Broker Carrier Summit that I know TAFS has been hugely involved with. But, I think for so long, carriers have been kind of disregarded from the networking scene, and especially owner operators, right? I mean, you've got so much on your shoulders. You're running a business while driving the truck. It's really hard to think about or get involved in other stuff, but I think it's hugely important as well. TAFs, I see you guys all the time on social media going to all the different industry events and stuff, and making those connections. How important is that, do you say, in the carrier side of the world to know who's out there and be connected with the right people?
I mean, for us on this side, so as an industry, TAFS Factoring, having the ability to be out there, having the ability to network and meet people that are in all sorts of type of environments. I mean, transportation is so big, and there's so many different pieces of it. It's not just a broker, a carrier, a factoring company, a fuel company. And there's 1,000 different other things that are involved in that. So for us to be able to learn the industry, to learn what all's out there, to learn about fraud from some of our fraud partners,
The big one. Yeah.
and be able to take all of those nuggets so that whenever I'm talking to a carrier, I've got a well-balanced approach to my conversation on, hey, here's why I think that X, Y, Z. And if I fumble or if I fail on something or I can't remember something, you know what? I don't remember that. Here's the information for my partner. Their specialty is this particular area. That's what makes it really beneficial for us to be out and for us to make these connections that we have, is that I've got a phone now that I can ring up so many great people in our business to where I'm not the specialist in whatever it is.
Right.
I've got somebody that is.
Yep.
That's what's really nice about how we've started to approach our roles within the transportation industry is how do I get in front of as many people as possible? How do I network and build those relationships so that when the time comes, I've got that person that I can send you to.
Yeah. Now, with your role in TAFS, director of partnerships, what does that look like, and what do you guys focus on within those partnerships? Like, what's the purpose there for you guys?
Yeah, so for us, it's when we're setting up a company. So when we're setting up a carrier,
Yeah.
as TAFs, we then will move into, hey, here's how you process an invoice. Just your day-to-day functions. But through our partnerships that we have folks that tire discounts. We're talking up to 60% off. Well,
Oh,
that's
wow.
thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Fuel program, we're talking hundreds of dollars. All of these things are going to allow someone to keep more money in their pocket, but be
Yeah.
able to keep running a uh, cash positive business. And that's a large part of what our purpose of in this on that side of it is to how do we get people in place that's going to save these companies money,
Yeah.
and then progressing forward from that is going to be your higher level, your TMS companies that you're connected with, your fraud prevention companies that you're connected with, uh, just your traditional uh, local companies, local carriers that you're connected with. That's when it gets into a deeper level of networking. But the ultimate goal, regardless of what level of networking or what level of partnerships that you have, the ultimate goal needs to be: does this help my client?
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
I love that aspect, because at the end of the day, working with somebody that has that mutual interest in you, I think is the way to go, right? There's so many companies out there, in any different industry type today that like place that emphasis on got another one, move on, got another one, move on. We made our buck next day. But to see somebody, it's like, well, for us to be successful, we need you to be successful. I think those are the best companies to work with, right? Because they have that vested interest in you, and they don't just care if you disappear the next day.
Absolutely. I had a meeting with someone yesterday that we're working with on becoming one of our partners. And the biggest thing that I think that I was able to express to him that really kind of you could see, it's a meeting similar to this,
Yeah.
you could see that kind of that, okay, this is different, is we don't become partners to become transactional oriented, to be a transactional relationship. That's
Okay.
not what I do. We are a true partnership. What I can do to help you as a partner and what you can do to help me as a partner, that's not exclusive. That is a benefit that we're both going to gain from this.
Right.
Not just, hey, sign up with me, move on. Just like you said, I'm like that's that sales tactic of uh, just get it done just to get it done is not something that I focus on, and it's absolutely not something that whenever I was a sales manager that I trained on. It's no, we want to be partners, we want to be consultants. How
Yeah.
can we be the best in our position? That way we can be the best industry consultants and the best partner for our clients.
Right. I love that, man. Especially, as we were talking, somebody going from that company driver to an owner operator. It's like when you're a company driver, they had all that, right? That was already, figured out and factored through their company. They dealt with this company for this and this company for this. But when you go to be an owner operator, it's like, well, yeah, I'm probably going to need this. And which one is the best? There's like 500. Getting involved with guys like you is then like now you have insight into, hey, well, not only do we have all these, but we can probably hook you up with some kind of a discount for working through them, et cetera. And yeah, that sounds like fantastic insight.
Yeah, no, it's and and we preach it, right? We preach it, but I can promise you that almost daily when we talk to our sales teams, it is something that we absolutely make sure that they are aware of, that hey, when we're out and we're talking to people and we're doing shows like yours, and we're
Yeah.
talking about this stuff, that it's not just us talking about it, that we're actually executing it.
Right.
And that's what I really think what is special about the people that we work with is we're all on the same page, whether it goes from our vice president of sales to our director of sales to our sales managers down to our day one factoring salesperson.
Right.
The same message is going to be presented every single time, that we listen and we are partners. We're not here to just sign someone up and ignore them. That's not what we do.
I love that, man. Now, you talked a little bit ago about fraud, and that's definitely something that has hit the industry by storm more and more recently. I mean, as more, I think, technology and whatnot hits the industry, it's like it just pops up every which way. Being on the financial side, have you guys dealt with fraud in your industry or your side of the industry?
I mean, every day,
Really?
every day you're dealing with fraud. I mean, it's every business moving forward is going to deal with fraud.
Yeah.
No one can put on any kind of advertisement. We are 100% fraud free. It's like that,
Yeah.
that is not going to happen. The best way that you could just try, how do you mitigate it? How do you mitigate fraud?
Right.
How do you try to be one step ahead? I mean, I'm a big movie guy. I've seen too many movies to understand the criminal always has the upper hand, right?
Yeah.
Because the glove's off with a criminal.
Right.
You can do whatever you want. Well,
No
as a
lines to color
business,
in.
right. As a business, we have compliance rules. We have business ethics we have to follow. We have HR.
Yeah.
We can't just do whatever we want and say whatever we want. So there's restrictions to how we can do that. But having the right processes in place, having the right security in place, and better yet, having the right conversations with the people that we're working with.
Yeah.
And getting to know who they are, so that if something were to come up, we can kind of figure out, you know what, this doesn't seem like something that this carrier would do. Let's call them. Let's have that relationship to where I can pick up the phone and I can call you and say, Alex, I saw this document, this paperwork that you sent in. It just didn't seem right.
Yeah.
Now you're going to tell me, oh yeah, I'm doing something a little bit different, or no, that wasn't me at all. Well, we've built up enough relationship with you that we can we can start to try to predict these kind of things,
Yeah.
or at least censor when these things are happening. Like, hold on, there's something that's different here, and that's really the main goal with trying to prevent fraud. And you know what? There's a lot of companies out there that are now trying to help companies like ours. And being able to know who those folks are, and that's where going back to networking, going back to partnerships,
Definitely.
having these companies that you can team up with that have your best interests, as a big organization like we are, we now have a company that we can rely on. Well, smaller companies or one truck company, they're going to rely on us for certain aspects. We can rely on our partners, and then that's how that cycle moves forward, and all businesses in transportation all of a sudden start relying on each other to watch each other's backs.
Yeah. Now, I'm sure you guys do deal with a lot of, newer authorities, newer companies coming into the industry. What are some of the biggest blind spots or hurdles that you've seen for companies trying to get off the ground and establish themselves?
Lack of education.
That's a good one.
Not fully understanding the scale of which it takes to run a trucking company, whether it's one truck or 100. There's a lot of moving pieces, and education is absolutely at the forefront of being able to get off the ground running.
Yeah. It's yeah, for sure. And then, the nice thing is, especially since, I mean, I'm sure it's been there, but I'd say especially since like the COVID days, I feel like we've seen a lot more of the logistics as a whole industry, but trucking as well, hit like YouTube and TikTok and different stuff like that, where you're able to, get that real life education from people that are, in the field, podcasts like this and so many others. And, the nice thing is for those guys that are, on those resets or on those long roads, they can pop in a podcast or they can put on some kind of audio and listen and learn along the way. And there's a lot more resources for that, I think, today than there ever has been before. But yeah, the education is key.
No, it's funny that you said it, because I was thinking the other day, I was trying to find it on YouTube. It's been so many years back, but talking about the growth of technology in our business with podcast, YouTube, things along those lines.
Right.
It was, I think, 8-9 years ago or so that somebody told us about a YouTube clip that was about 30 minutes long, and it was just a younger guy with his camera, not a phone, but an actual digital camera.
Okay.
And it was the day in the life of a truck driver.
Really?
And he recorded himself, doing the various things, going about his day, and set the camera up on his dash and was recording himself driving, stuff like that. But it was so, like, you look at it now, like that looked primitive.
Right.
I'm like, that guy was actually on the forefront of breaking
right.
new and undiscovered things that are going to happen in our business, because now you fast forward and we have all these outlets and we have all these mediums that we can actually go on and we can learn, just like you said, the podcast things. I, as a truck driver, can now just turn on my radio and hear about my industry. Whereas when I was riding with my stepdad on trips during the summertime, we had we had tapes on book.
Yeah.
And there was a Red Sovine playing on the radio. That's about as trucking as it got, as far as like anything media wise.
Yeah, it's so funny to, think back, even just, 15 years ago at how much stuff has changed. And then, look at how truckers are operating their business and what it was like back then with everything, being so much more paper, and now everything's going digital. It's like you get so many people that are resistant to it and hate it, but at the same time, once you get in, it's like, God, I don't know how I can go back.
Yeah. When ELDs were first being presented, and all the backlash the ELDs got,
a big one.
I remember having a conversation with somebody. I remember sitting in a truck stop, being a little kid, and seeing the ticker go across, the load tickers and the phones there at the booth at the truck stop.
Right.
And I remember my stepdad bringing out a couple of books. And back then I didn't know what quite they were. I knew they were called log books, but I didn't know what they really did.
Right.
And I just remember him having a couple of them at the table, filling out pages and pages of stuff. And it wasn't until I got older and when ELDs got introduced and what the purpose of the ELD was and why it was being introduced and this and that, I'd be like, wait a minute, my stepdad was filling out log books for like weeks back. And so that's where I find it funny with that stuff. It's like, that's where technology really comes to play, where it's, you're not sitting there with paper and a paper book and being like, which book am I going to give if I get pulled over?
That's what I was thinking when you said he was sitting there with books. I'm like, the legit one and the one he's going to show.
Yep. Which one is the one that the state trooper gets?
Exactly. Oh, that's fantastic, man. Looking ahead, what would you say are some trends or challenges that you see shaping the future of the trucking industry?
Truly grasping technology.
Yeah.
Like, in utilizing technology. With AI right now, we've been to a couple different shows, Manifest being one of those, that the amount of AI that's going to come into play over the course of the next 6 to 2 years, 6 months to 2 years, is going to be phenomenal, where you're booking loads talking to a robot, where you're in your truck talking about trip planning and fuel efficiency. You'll be talking to your truck about these things, and your truck will respond back to you and tell you, hey, there's a fuel stop 4 miles ahead, or there's a fuel stop 100 miles ahead. Which one's the most efficient for me to stop at? And your truck's going to give you the answer.
Right.
That's the progress that I think we're moving to, and just being able to embrace it and learn how to best utilize it for your business.
Yeah.
Not every technology is going to be perfect for you and your business. So find what works for you and what's going to help make you more successful. Because I could tell you the stuff that's in the works right now that I've seen is just incredible, absolutely incredible.
It's weird, and, I think honestly, we take so much of it for granted because, we kinda get microdosed with, technology upgrades, and it's like, "Oh, okay," but then, yeah, you zoom out and look at what we actually do on a daily I was like, "Oh my god, that's crazy." I mean, you're talking about talking to your truck, and it sounds so realistic today, but it's like it reminds me of, like, Knight Rider, It's
That's, I,
like
hey, my watch can talk to me.
exactly.
I
I
can
mean,
go on my phone and start my car. I'm like,
yeah,
that's
but you look back to, like, when what? Apple computers came out and they show, that original computer is the size of like a building or whatever. It's like,
yeah,
and this thing is what, 20 times more powerful. I mean, it's insane, right?
crazy. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, definitely it's already impacting the industry in so many ways. And it's wild to think where that might be in just, 10, 15 years. I mean, AI alone, right? Like we started hearing about AI around COVID and it was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." And then it's like, "Oh, that could be scary." And it's kind of going back and forth and just from that time, I mean, we look how much it's advanced within the matter of a few years.
Oh, it's insane. I mean, you look at again going back to my movie days. You look at a movie like Lawnmower Man when it talks about virtual reality, right? And
Yeah.
that as a little kid was so mind blowing that you're gonna have this. I got it. Oh, during COVID, I got a VR headset, and I was like, "This is incredible."
Yeah.
There's never going to be technology better than this. Well, before you know it, my kids are going to be playing with holograms. It's
Right.
that kind of evolution to where um, we're definitely going in all walks of life and every industry. And I think transportation is really just now starting to embrace
Yeah.
these kinds of technologies as well as embrace these kind of forums as well. Because I know carriers that if you'd have told them 5 years ago, hey, there's going to be these podcast things where you're going to be able to watch and learn about the business. I guarantee the amount of guys that would have been like, that's terrible. Why do I want to do that?
Yeah.
Because they got those same conversations going to truck stops and sitting around and everyone drinking their coffee and having hours and hours long conversations,
Right.
not realizing that all you're doing is a pre-version of a podcast as a
So
group
true.
session.
Yeah.
So that's where I think it's really really exciting and also, and I don't want to leave this out because we're
Yeah.
talking about fraud, understanding what you're getting with AI, how to utilize it, but also understanding that with this new technology does come more fraud. So,
Yeah.
knowing your business, having partners that know your business, so that if something is out of place, something just doesn't quite feel right or seem right, um, real life conversations are able to be had. Um, to be able to point out some of those things. You're not going to be 100%, but just being able to talk to the people that you need to talk with uh, to say, hey, this doesn't seem right.
100%. Man, I feel like we've tapped in some really gold nuggets with you today. I really appreciate you coming on and giving us some time out of your day. Anything you feel like we've missed in this conversation worth throwing in?
No, I suggest for anybody watching that's not a carrier and you're driving on the road, the truck has the right of way. Just let 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 those guys and gals get to where they need to go. If you're not familiar with trucking and you're watching this, realize that that truck can't stop on a dime. So
Yeah.
it's a scary world out there in some cases for a lot of drivers. Uh, we recently lost a great one in Brittany trailer and all for cars not understanding trucks. So that's my PSA is if you're out there, just make sure that you're letting that truck get to their destination safely
Yeah.
because they probably have your kid's new toy in it, and your kid's gonna be mad when it's not delivered to your front door. So
It it's for real, man. And I feel like there's a lot of PSA out there about it, but at the same time, I don't think there's enough, right? Because until I got in the industry, I didn't even regard just like how fast they can stop, right? I mean, you see that all the time. Cars just jump right in front of a truck, and then oh, there's traffic. They got to slam. That's not going to be a good day for you by any means.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Understanding
I
a
don't know.
blind spot.
Yeah, yeah,
I've been preaching blind spots before I could drive.
yeah.
Like this is the wrong spot to sit. Don't sit here. Can't do it. So yeah,
Well,
that's
I
my
mean, like you
my
mentioned,
friend takeaway on that.
I feel like there's so many cars out there that, the truck's the bad guy. And it's like, oh, well, you guys can get in a little pissy match as much as you want to, but there comes that point that the truck does not have an option. He's either
Yeah.
not able to stop or, it's a big machine. It's dangerous. So
Yeah.
mind.
But, we appreciate all the carriers that are out there, everybody in transportation. Thank you so much for everything that y'all do. Thanks for allowing me, Alex, to be a part of this platform with you.
Absolutely.
And, yeah, just thank you so much for everything that you're doing, spreading the word. And thank you, carriers. We appreciate you.
100%, man. Before I let you go, I want to give you a chance here for some shameless plugs. Anyone that wants to learn more from you, how can they get in touch with you and learn more about your company and website and all that good jazz?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can visit TAFS.com on our factoring side. You can find me at George McWilliams on LinkedIn. I try to be on there and try to be as present as possible on there. We're also affiliated with a couple of other folks. So yeah, basically the easiest way, just find me on LinkedIn, George McWilliams, or visit us on TAFS.com.
Fantastic. We'll make sure to get those in the links below, or get those links in the notes below. And man, George, thank you again for giving us some time out of your day. You've been awesome.
Nope, my pleasure, Alex. Appreciate you, bud.
All right, everybody out there watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe. And until next time, stay safe out there. Have a great day.